Sorry. Yeah. So I'll just reiterate the things. So the queue is nothing but it's like a waiting line where you will be having a number of customers in the same line, and they have the preference given based on the position they are in. So if the person comes first, he'll be the first person who gets preference, and then he'll be going out. So this concept is FIFO, FIFO. So this is called as first in, first out. So what happens during this is like it is similar to your array, but in your array, whenever you insert your data in it, uh, the data set will always remain the static position. It will not change, right? The data, whatever you insert, it will always remain in the same order. Whereas in queue, based on the preference, so first time if you give the queue value with 10, 20, and 30, it will be with 10, 20, 30. But next time if you give something with 20, 10, and 30, the ordering is changed because the first position is given to the 20th value and not 10 value. So here, during this processing, whenever you're fetching it, right, the queue can be dynamically changed, whereas in your array and or array list, it is not dynamically changed. So the queue is a similar data structure. So as you have arrays a data structure, queue is also a data structure where here the elements will be held prior to your processing. So like for example, you're going to an airport and you're going to check in. Before checking in, the person who's standing front will have its airport boarding pass number with some XYZ. And the next person who's having is ABC. As per the ticket row, ABC comes first. But in the queue, the ABC is not in the first. The XYZ is in the first, right? So the processing of ABC and XYZ happens based on the queue and not on the values. You understood?
Yes, Megha.
Yeah. So for example, this particular queue is again classified into 4 categories. Okay. So there are something called DQ. So you can, all these are again coming from util package. So you can have your main method here.
Yes.
Yeah. So here just type Q, which is an interface, and give control space. And you can go to that util package and import it. Yeah. So now go to that queue interface. Yeah. Can you go to the top, like where what is queue, they will define it. Go to the top of the class. Yeah. So can you just read that?
A collection designed for holding elements prior to
processing. That is the first point. Next. What are the operations you can perform? Line number 41.
Beside basics operations, queues provide additional insertion, extraction, and inspection operations.
Yeah.
Each of these methods exist in 2 forms. One throws an exception if the operation fails, and the other returns a special value.
Yeah, enough. So basically, this is similar to your array. Okay, so how does your array look like? Can you just take your paint and draw the array structure? So usually this would be your array structure, right? Where we fetch based on indexes, the same thing. But the starting phase, you can have some values within each position.
Okay.
You can have the text instead.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is example. Right now, the value which is 40, that is the counter. You have your counter. So the 40 is the first person, 30 is the second person, 20 is the third person, and 10 is the last person. So what happens? Your head is what? Your head is like 40 is your head. So he is the first standing. So that will be your head. Just have a marker and mention it as head. You can just write it as head. That should be fine.
Okay.
Just write in caps head. And the last value, the 10, would become the tail. So since 40 is facing to the counter, the head will become 40 and the 10 would become the tail. The last one would be the tail. And the data, whatever you inserted, are like the people who come and join in the row. So they don't have any sequence or ordering. Whoever comes in the same way, the data gets added up. So this is the usual structure of your queue. So the queue has the head and tail structure. All the new elements, like who are coming in and adding in the queue, right, will be added in the tail. So they are added in the tail. So say example, after 10, if some other person coming as 50, he'll be added after 10. So 50 will become the tail and 40 will become the head. So whoever is coming and adding, and final position will become as head, tail. Okay. And whoever has to process and whoever has to go forward for the next counter will be in the head position. So basically, like if you're if in your school and you're trying to submit your assignments, and whoever submits first, right, that book will be in the first level. Whoever comes first to get the paper will be in the first one. And once he's done, the next person in the line will come and get his paper. So this would be the order of queue. So till now, did you understand where is your head and where is your tail, where the elements get added? So all the elements will added in the tail place and not in the head place. Head is a static. It is like the first index value. The first position is called as head, and the rest all values will be added as part of tail.
So in case like whatever the first element comes, right? So it will act both as head and tail.
Yeah, initially when you have one element, that would act as head and tail. But if you insert the elements as going forward, then the later values would be taken as tail, and the first value would always be considered as head.
Head. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now there are multiple types of queue. So right now this is the structure of queue. There is something called as double-ended queue or DQ. Okay. So how does that look like is the DQ will have two heads. So double-ended, right? So it will have two heads and not single head. Right now, whatever you're seeing is having single head. Like in your list, you had single list and double list, right? So the linked list was having the previous address and the next address. Whereas in a normal list, you had only next as your address. The same thing in case of queue, in the double-ended queue, you will have head in both front and the back. So it's basically you have two heads where you are giving a possibility to add the elements and remove the elements from both ends. Instead of giving it from one end, you're giving the feature of to add and retrieve or remove it from both ends. So what happens in DQ, instead of tail, the tail will act as another head.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this one, like will this DQ also allow duplicate elements or not? So the thing is, this will also allow duplicate elements. This is similar to your array and list. Okay. It will not decipher or it will not segregate your duplicate elements. It will always have the efficiency to store your duplicate values too. It is not like unique values only I'll have it. It will have duplicate too. This is one more thing. And all the data, whatever you insert will be in the insertion order. Okay. Now, there's something called again blocking queue and blocking BQ. So these blocking queue and blocking BQ is something we'll deal in the threads. Like when we are working on multi-threaded environment, we'll come to learn about blocking queue and blocking BQ. But right now, we don't need to worry about it. You know the concept of queue, right? That should be fine. But when we come under the blocking queue and blocking BQ, we'll know it better. Okay. In the multi-threaded environment, we'll see that in a better way. So what are the operations you can perform on a queue? The same thing which you done in the array, right? You can add the element, you can remove the element, you can check whether my queue is present or it is empty. So you can just give control O here. You can see the method, right? Add, remove. So these are something you already learned. What is this pole and what is this peak? There are some two new elements for you. So can you go to the pole method and peak method one by one?
It is abstract.
What?
It is abstract method, right? Like,
yeah, because it's an interface. Queue is an interface, right? So how do you create an instance? That we'll see right now. But how this will happen, that like how to create an object for your queue and how to add them, that we'll see, because it's similar to array list. But what is this poll? Can you just study the description? It retrieves and removes the head of this queue or returns if this queue is empty. So it will always give you the head element, the first element of your queue. And what is peek does? Can you go to the peek method? Retrieves but does not
But
remove the head of this queue if the queue is empty. It will not remove, but it will only help you in retrieving. Whereas in case of polling, what is happening? It retrieves and removes the value.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll see how to create a queue reference now. Can you go to the queue demo? Like instead of E, can you just give string right now? Queue of string. Yeah. And some reference name. Since it's an interface, this will not accept you to create new queue. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a new array list. Give new array list. Angle bracket. You have to import it.
A normal array or this array block?
Array list. Array list. Yeah. So what is happening here? What is the error you're getting?
Cannot
type
arguments for array list.
Okay. Can you give new linked list instead of array list? Give import that package. Yeah. So now, so why we were not able to create a list, and linked list was only the possible way because your queue has both head and tail, and you are dependent of your both the details, right? Now, if you try to create DQ, can you create another reference of DQ instead of Q? Yeah, give control space. The second one, yeah. Create a reference. Equal to, give new array, just type array, give control space. No, don't type array list, array space. Type, remove Y and give control space again. Yeah, you have the first one, you see, array DQ, which is again an overloaded constructor with default constructor, and the other one is the parameterized constructor. So you can right now go with array DQ. Now click it and save it. And you have to, yeah, you change the reference, right? So this is one way of creating a queue reference. Either you can go with Q or you can go with DQ. Q is single head and single tail, and DQ is double heads. Okay. Now, how are we going to add the data into it? To your queue. So what you can do is, usually how you'll add here into Q1 dot add of. Yeah, it is similar to your array list. You'll have the same method, add of, and you can give the relevant string names. So this is the way to add the data.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what I want you to do is use the methods of queue.class interface and try it now. And let me know what is happening. So you know what are methods you have in queue, right? You have remove, you have,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Using sysout, in each sysout, try to do one operation and print it.
Okay.
Okay. Just a moment, I'll be on mute for a second.
Okay.
So we're able to use that methods. Janaki, you're there?
Yes, Neha. For peak, pole and this thing, we should not give any like pass the variable, right, for this method actually.
You just need to call the method. You don't need to pass anything. You just call the
Pass
method and see
variable.
what you're able to get
Okay.
it. So add few
Yeah.
more
Okay.
elements so you get to know what is head and what is. Yeah, you have 4 elements. You have full. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. Now you can execute one by one, so you'll get to know what is happening. Okay. So you added the elements and in the Q1 you're able to see that. You removed it and after that you're able to see it full. And for the Q1 dot element, right? So the first element after removing ABC, whatever you have in the first position, the head position, you're able to get it. Now, after using the peak, right? You're able to see the first peak element is again head. Now, after peak, can you just print the line number 19 again? Okay.
Shall I execute now?
Yeah, now execute it again. So, what is the peak happening? So, peak is what? Can you go to the Q dot class and see what this peak is doing for you? The description of peak method. So
It
it
retrieves
retrieves but
but
does
does
not
not
remove the
remove
head
the
of the queue. So you're
of the
able to
queue.
see that CDE still is available in your entire queue list. Now, same thing in your queue demo, try to print the entire list value after your poll. Now execute it again. So what happened here? The CDE
It
element
removed
which you
the
have
head.
got polled has been removed from your queue and you're able to see only XYZ and MNO. So if you go to the poll method, you can see it retrieves and removes the head of this queue. So the head of the queue was still CDE and that has been removed now when you call the poll method. So this is basically similar to your remove method, but when do we do is like if the purpose of that particular element is completed, I don't want that in the queue anymore, then you can use your poll method. So whenever you're trying, so for example, in array list, we are storing the data in array list. So in that case, you need to have all the elements whenever we required it. But in case of queue, it is like a moving queue, right? You don't need to have everyone in the queue all time. Sometimes the queue can be empty, sometimes the queue can be full, or it can be overloaded, or it can be even few with 4 to 5 members. But as the queue processes, you have to clear it out, right? So whenever you have a use case where you need to clear out the processing elements, then you can go or consider this particular data structure called queue. Other than that, we don't need to go for queue element. So only when the use case comes into picture, we'll consider to go with the queue part. But the basic
Then queue element also it is doing the same, right? Like it retrieves the head of the queue.
yeah,
That's
you can
okay.
go to the
Like
queue element and see what is the description you have in the queue dot
it
class.
is mentioned the same. Like it will not remove the head of this queue. It will just retrieve, but it differs slightly
If it
from.
throws an exception, if this queue is empty, you see an additional thing. So if
Yes.
my queue is empty, it will throw an exception. Whereas in this, it will return null in case of poll,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
only thing is you're avoiding the exception. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So apart from that, everything is same. You can add and you can retrieve. Everything is happening in the same way. So this is the queue part. And you can, now the assignment for you is you can try the same way for DQ and see what are the methods we can perform, and it remains same. Basically the Q and DQ are both same. Only thing is the head part is different.
Okay.
Okay. So you can give a try by using DQ and see what are questions you have in that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so this is one of the queue interface. Now we can try one more thing called stack, which is last in first out. So I'm not going into the complete real-time use cases of queue or stack, because most probably we'll never go to them unless there is a very rare use cases. So we'll cover it up on our programming practices. But right now we are just seeing how to create the instances and how to use the operations of the queue related functions or the stack related functions, so that we can wrap it up our collections interface. We can work on the different use case scenarios later.
Okay.
Now you can create something called class for stack demo. So what is a stack? You can tell me.
Oh, it's like piling up the things.
Yeah. So if you see like, for example, when you submit any books or when you're submitting any kind of request, right? What happens? All the requests will be piled one upon the other. So whoever submits first, their data will be below, and whoever submitted last, their record will be on top. That is why you call it as last in and first out. Whereas in queue, it is always first in and first out. Okay.
Yes.
So here we say something called push and pop. In case of queue, we say it as peak and pole. Okay, in Q and DQ. We call with a different naming structures, but they both are nothing but where to insert your data and where to remove your data from. That is the understanding of. So how do you, when to go for stack? So for example, let's say, can you go to your paint once? Yeah. Can you just write a text which I say in a text box? A plus B into C minus D 2. Okay, so say this is my text. My use case here is I want to segregate all the operators, and I have to I have to show them in the order of the stack, like in which order they have been inserted. So whoever has inserted this particular statement, what happens when minus would have be on the top, into will be in that, and plus would be in the bottom, right?
Yes.
So if I want to retrieve those operations from this particular statement, then I can use my stack and get it done. Whereas in queue, I can't do it. The queue will tell me to only to add the data in the linear fashion. So whatever order it is, in the same order, I'll have it in the queue too. But in case of stack, I will know in which order that element was. So first A was added, then plus was added, then B came into picture. So if I want to retrieve only operators, then I can go and say plus, into, and minus. If I want to retrieve only the alphabets, then I can go and get that order and get it printed. So whenever you wanted to retrieve a particular set of elements from your stack or from your file amount of data, then we'll suggest to go with stack. So what is stack is giving us, and where do we have this stack class? So now can you go to your main method and create a stack? Is a class or an interface? Let's see that. First type stack and give control space. And you can see that is again coming from util package. Okay. Now can you go into that, import that package and go into the stack class? Yeah, go into that. Yeah, go into that. So this is a last in first out stack of objects. You have something called vector. We'll see again that in the multi-threaded environment. So this is similar to your array list. A vector is nothing but similar to your array list. Okay. So all the operations you perform on your array list will happen here as well. Next, the operations, the push and pop is like insertion and removal. As you do in add and remove in array list, you have as push and pop method. That's a different. And then you also have something called peek here as well. Can you just give control O in this class? So here you have see push, pop, peek, and you can search an element and you can say whether your stack is empty or full. Okay. So now we can you click on that push method and see what is the description you have? Pushes an item onto the top of the stack. Okay, it is basically like you're adding your element. That is the basic structure of here. What is the pop is doing? It is like removing the object. So whoever came in first, that lowest element will be taken from the stack because it's last in first out. So you're going to remove it. Okay. And what is peek is doing? Can you go and see peek? So this, if you see this particular one, what is it actually doing? It is not removing the object from the stack, but it is always taking the value from the top of the element without removing it. The same thing you observed in your queue also, right? Only in the poll you were able to remove it. Whereas in case of peek, you didn't remove it, but you're able to see the top element, the head element.
Retrieve.
Same way in the stack, we have the same structure. Through peek, you can get only the top element without removing it. Okay, so now go to your stack demo, create again a stack with string. So since this is not an interface, you can create an object directly to your stack itself. So create a reference equal to new stack.
You mean to say this is not interface, right? So we can create the
Create the object directly to stack. Yeah, save it. Now, you know the elements, you have it. So how do you add the data? To add the data, what is the method we need to use from stack?
Push.
Yeah, so just use push and add data in it. Since internally it uses vector, you'll be able to see vector related methods as well. But right now we are focusing only on stack element methods. So you can just use push and add the data over it. Okay, now before, after line number 9, can you just give sysout, system.out.println, and use the method empty, s1.empty. Can you execute now? So since you have created an object, but you haven't added the elements to the stack. So what happens when you check the stack empty? You execute. So your stack was empty, so you're getting the result as true. And after that, you got the values added. So now you print it again. That should be false. Now you can try to use the push and pop over here.
Okay.
You just need to use the pop method. You don't need to pass the value.
Oh.
That is not a parameterized method, right? You're just using the method. After doing the pop, print your S1 object again. Like line number 14, copy it and then print it again. Because you don't know what happened, right?
Yeah.
Use the same thing for your peak method and then use the same thing. And you also have search method. We'll do that little later. So now you can execute this one. So what happened is the last element 7, 8, 9, right, which is your last element in your stack, has been removed. So that is the reason when you popped, you were able to see only the first 2 elements. And in the peak, what happened? Your data will not be removed, but you can still see the first element. Since you didn't print it out, you're not able to see the peak value. You're able to see the entire stack again. If you just give s1.peak in a sysout, you would be able to see only the first element.
Oh, first element. Okay.
Yeah, you can just type in the line number 21, give s1.peak. Yeah, you can do that as well. Yeah, save it.